So the subject I'd like to talk about in today's video is the perpetuation of myths, which is one that I find very interesting. And if you think about it, a lot of these fantasy tales and creatures were first written down by our ancestors thousands and thousands of years ago. These have been handed down and reinterpreted by different writers and artists, and in more recent years filmmakers. So I think of it a little bit like a relay race almost, where one runner is handing over the baton to the next one, and I've taken the baton, some of these creatures, and have produced my own interpretation of their character and how they look. One of my favourite subjects to paint is the dragon. And dragons have appeared in myths and legends from all areas of the world for thousands and thousands of years. But perhaps one of the more classic historical interpretations of the dragon is the big, fierce creature that's abducted some poor maiden and the knight has to come and rescue her. I've taken on the dragon as more of a companion creature with a temperament that can be very friendly as well as aggressive. And of course, in my art, usually the princess is not being rescued. She has perhaps befriended the dragon or is doing the fighting. The unicorn is another very long-standing myth, and one of the legends surrounding the unicorn was that the unicorn would only appear to a pure-hearted maiden, which I've always thought was a really interesting premise, and I've often painted unicorns and their lady companions walking through the woods. So now the subject of the Medusa is an interesting one. So this is a very ancient legend from Greece, and there are various versions of the tale, but in it the Medusa started off as a beautiful priestess, but she lost her vow of celibacy with the god Poseidon and was punished for this by Athena because the temple had been defiled, and Athena had turned her into a hideous creature with snakes for hair and a gaze that would turn humans to stone. So another version of this legend is actually that the Medusa was raped by Poseidon, and she was a complete victim in all this, and it was a classic and quite tragic case of victim blaming that Athena punished her for what had occurred. And this has been used as a symbol actually in modern day by some organisations involved with justice, and especially with protecting people from abusive behaviour. Actually, that's my interpretation that I've done in a couple of pictures of the Medusa. She's always got this very strong presence and gaze at the viewer. An interesting interpretation of the Medusa legend is a sculpture that's been recently put up in New York in front of the criminal court there, which is a play on the classic Greek sculpture of Perseus, who killed Medusa and held her head out with his sword. And this one, it's actually Medusa that's the champion, and she has slain Perseus in revenge for this injustice.